Hello, everyone. My name is Amar Kapadia. I'm co-founder and CEO at Arnav.ml, a GPU cloud management software company. Today, I'm going to talk about a financial aspect of GPU clouds, and I'm going to discuss how GPU clouds can increase the return on investment by 10x with GPU cloud management software. Before we get started, I wanted to cover some case studies and share with you what our customers are telling us. So we have customers in the US. Um, there are two in the US, one in US and Canada, one in Europe, and two in APAC. And even though these are across distributed geographies, they're basically telling us the same thing. They're saying that I need to increase my GPU utilization and combat GPU price declines. So GPU as a service providers or NVIDIA Cloud Partners, NCPs, or NeoClouds, whatever name we want to use, they are facing a double whammy. They are seeing that the amount of utilization of their cloud is dropping. At the same time, the prices are dropping. So they are getting hit on two ends from a financial point of view. And to level set, most NCPs, NVIDIA Cloud Partners, so I'll use the term NCPs, but it's synonymous with GPU as a service AI cloud providers or NeoClouds, start their journey with static allocation of GPUs for large training customers. So all the provisioning, monitoring, billing, scaling is all done statically and assigned to customers for 1, 2, or 3 years. And that works great initially. But the annual GPU refresh cycle means that older GPUs are unattractive for training. So if you did all 3-year deals, not a problem. But let's say you are an NCP and you did a 1-year deal. Now, when those GPUs come back to the pool, they're not going to be requested for training because the training customers, today they are not going to ask for H100s. They're going to ask for H200s or Blackwells. And this results in both a price decline and a decline in utilization. So what's the evidence? Well, here's the evidence. In June of 2024, 1-year price for an H100 was between $2.20 to $2.50. Today, it's between $1.60 and $1.80. So that's a precipitous drop. June 2024, H100 availability was tight. There was a shortage. Today, they're available in plentiful. So this, we weren't able to characterize it in a quantitative way. So it's more of a qualitative description of the availability. So what can NCPs do? Is there a solution to improve the ROI? Yes, there is. One solution is to switch to on-demand instances for the unused capacity. So we are not suggesting that you change anything with your capacity that's already being used for reserved instances. Keep doing what you're doing. But the unused capacity can be offered on an on-demand basis, and that improves the utilization and improves the average selling price. If you look at various cloud providers that do on-demand, it improves by 30 to 50%. And why does the utilization improve? I'll show you in the next slide. The second technique is to add platform as a service features, PaaS features like LLM as a service, job submission, etc. And again, if you look at cloud providers like Together.ai or others, the effective average selling price improves by 100% or 2x. So you might ask, why does on-demand improve utilization or grow the market? Well, the reason is reserved instances can only address the right-hand side, which is LLM training. With on-demand, you can now address inferencing, small language model training, fine-tuning, distilling, etc. And that effectively increases the utilization or the market reach. Now, is there a way to quantitatively look at the benefit that you can get from on-demand and PaaS? The answer is yes, there is, and we have a GPU ROI calculator that we will show you in just a moment. Before we go through the demo of the calculator, we are going to consider three scenarios in the calculator. The first is static only. So if all you did was static allocation of your GPU resources, what would the return look like? Second scenario is static with additional capacity made available on demand. So again, we are not suggesting you convert all your GPU resources to on demand. Whatever is sold on 1, 2, 3-year contracts, keep doing what you're doing. That, it works great. But the additional underutilized capacity can be offered on demand. So what does that scenario look like? And the third is to add platform as a service features on top. Now, PaaS features can be added on top of static and on-demand instances. It's not exclusive to just on-demand. So we will look at, what does the addition of PaaS features do to the ROI as well. So with that, let's cut over to the calculator. So the calculator has a number of tabs. The first is, a cover page that shows you the summary of the calculations. The assumptions tab, the three scenarios, static, on demand is actually spare capacity being allocated on demand. It's not, as we discussed, not everything is on demand. It's on demand and PaaS. So you do both. You juice up your ROI using two techniques and interest schedule. So let's look at assumptions first. So the assumptions, so this is, I would say, a medium complexity calculator. We've all seen calculators that are super complex, multiple tabs. And the problem I have with such complex calculators is you lose the intuitive feel of the assumptions you input and the output you get. On the other hand, a very simplistic calculator is probably not adequate. So this, I feel, is in the middle. If you're CFOs types, then maybe you might, not find it deep enough, but hopefully for first order analysis, this is good enough. So a whole bunch of assumptions, number of GPUs. So let's say we said 2048, CapEx per GPU, let's say 30,000, interest rate 8.5%, loan to capital, let's say 70%, loan term, let's say three years, reserved price in year one. This is a very important parameter. If you start early in the life cycle of a GPU, this number can be high and your returns will look extremely good. But if you start late in the cycle, like if you started in Q4 of 2024 with H100s, you would have probably been in the 220, 240 range. Let's say 240, just for assumptions. Then the price degradation year over year for reserved instances, let's say, 15%. The premium you can get using an on-demand instance over a reserved instance, let's say 30%. The premium you can get for a PaaS instance over a reserved instance, let's say 105%. OpEx per GPU per year, let's say 3,500. OpEx growth year over year, 6%. Now, these numbers are going to be very customized to you, the cloud provider. Depending on your tendency, if you sign up 3-year contracts exclusively, then your underutilization or unused capacity will be very low. But if you sign up 1-year contracts, 6-month contracts, your underutilization may go up over time. So here we have made some assumptions, let's say 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%, just argument's sake. Year 5 actually doesn't matter because we are assuming a 4-year life for the GPUs. Some financial parameters, NPV discount rate, cost of equity, tax rate, let's say 20%, life of GPU 4 years, and percentage of all GPUs using PaaS. So as I mentioned, PaaS is not exclusive to on-demand. So PaaS can be offered on static reserved instances as well, let's say 30%. So now all the assumptions have been put in. Some basic calculations come up here in terms of, revenue per GPU per hour. inclusive of utilization, exclusive of utilization, etc. Then we go to the specific tabs. If you choose to look through these, you can look at the revenue, COGS, OPEX, interest, tax, etc. per each scenario. Static, this is static plus excess being offered as on-demand, static plus excess as on-demand plus PaaS. And finally, you can see the summary on the cover page. So here you're seeing the summary for each of the three scenarios. You see the investment being 18 million for the 1,000, I think we assume 1,024 GPUs. Yeah, no, 2,000 GPUs. You're seeing, and that's basically for the hardware. You're seeing the multiple on investment capital being 1.95 for static, on-demand being around 2.2, and then on-demand plus PaaS being 5x, 5.4x. The weighted average cost of capital, you can see that. The absolute return, you can see that. So you invest 18, you get 36, 40, 98. You see the NPV, net present value, and you see the IRR. So here the IRR looks, good for static, but depending on the assumptions, it can go down to 7-8%. On demand, and then on demand plus PaaS, and you're seeing that each of them is adding an additional amount to the IRR. You see the revenue declining over time for each of the three scenarios, and you see the internal rate of return and the multiplier on invested capital. So you see that. So that's a quick summary of how the calculator works. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have a link. You will be able to download the calculator, play around with it, and we'd love to get your feedback. So how can you get to on-demand and platform as a service features? So our RNOW.ml GPU Cloud Management Software, CMS, provides you with both these features. So it solves the problem. And the way it works is you have hardware at the bottom. You have NVIDIA GX, MGX. It could be storage from VAST, VECA, DDN, Fabric from NVIDIA Spectrum Max, InfiniBand, etc. So all the hardware is here. You have the hardware provisioning layer, base command manager from NVIDIA or something like Redfish if you want to directly provision the hardware. Our product starts above that. It's split up into Infra Manager and Platform Manager. The Infra Manager has an admin console. Through that, the admin can onboard or discover the entire hardware, observe everything, do fault management, and create tenants and flavors or SKUs. The tenant is split up into two personas: the tenant admin, who creates tenant users, manages quotas, pays the bills, and the tenant user, who actually consumes the GPU resources. The tenant user can come in through the top interface, self-service interface, by explicitly requesting GPUs. So if they know they need a certain number of GPUs, 8 GPUs, so many CPUs, so on and so forth, they can explicitly request bare metal virtual machine and container instances, Kubernetes clusters, using GPUs. But if they're not clear on how many GPUs they need, they can use a serverless modality. They can ask for model serving, so they can point to Hugging Face or NVIDIA NIM models. Those models are served up, and their underlying infrastructure is created, scaled out, scaled in, and terminated automatically. The scale out and scale in is important based on the tokens per second. Or it can be a job submission. Again, the infra is created, checkpoints, result collection, termination, all of that is done automatically. There are third-party apps as well, Slurm, RenAI, etc., that can be added. The self-service interface is customizable for the cloud provider. We also have billing integration with cloud billing providers such as Monetize 360. It's natively integrated into our GUI and others like Stripe. And then we have user management, role-based access control. We covered all the items on the right. I think the only key point to make is we provide what's called hard multi-tenancy. So Ethernet, InfiniBand, CPU, GPU, and storage isolation is strict, and it's as per the NVIDIA reference architectures. And cloud providers can be comfortable that Coke and Pepsi can be on the same GPU hardware and be comfortable that their data is secure. Here are the two links. If you want to try our GPU ROI calculator, I welcome you to give it a shot and give us feedback. You can also read about our case studies. And at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions. Thank you.